5, 4, 3.
And we are back here on the Michigan Insider on the Big 1050 WTKA online at the Big1050.com. Sam Webb, Mr. Ira Weintraub on the other side, and the MGoBlog Roundtable crew is with us as always. Always look forward to Thursdays to catching up with fellas to break things down and joining us to kick things off. Man, Brian Cook. Brian, how you doing this morning, man? You doing all right?
Good, yeah. It's the off season, man. It's like peaceful.
Peaceful.
Yeah.
I hear you. Did you get a chance? You guys get a chance to do the rewatch? You watched the rewatch of the?
Oh yeah, I UFR'd it. Basically, I mostly UFR'd it. I like went through every single play.
You haven't published anything yet on that, have you, Seth?
I have. I published the first half yesterday, and the second half is being published this afternoon.
Oh,
and
cool.
I went through every single play, mostly to grade the passing. I wanted to like get a Henny chart, we call it, for Bryce Underwood, and you get it pretty well, kind of okay. What would you expect out of a 17-year-old who has a lot of talent?
Okay, all right. So we'll get into that. You heard it. You heard his voice, Seth Fisher. How you doing this morning, Seth?
I'm good. Looking for a Pistons win, tie the series. Let's get back in this.
Absolutely. Oh man, we've been in it. The refs have tried to take us out.
There it is. I was going to wondering if you or Craig would be the first to mention.
Craig would be in full scale pro. I mean, he'd be marching on wherever the headquarters are. He'd be marching right now. If you were watching, you're an NBA guy, Craig. You'd be you'd have no hair.
The one on THJ.
I saw that
one. He's delaying his shot so he could draw the foul. It was like that's 100% call. That one blew my mind.
And of course, Craig Ross. Craig, how you doing this morning?
I'm okay. You know, the NBA has had a lot of pro wrestling in it for a long time. I mean, I've been watching a bit of Golden State series, and it seems like these fights are choreographed. There's been a lot of shoving, pushing. I mean, the NBA to me has become pro wrestling, and I don't know. It loses its appeal to me.
I think they need to bring the 80s back in the NBA. They need to bring fights back to the NHL. I mean, bring it all back. Bring the 80s back. Anyway, fellas, the spring game. So it's hard to really you can't watch everything live especially when it comes to line play if you want to be paying attention to the quarterback. So as you went back to actually watch the game on the replay, starting with you, Brian, what did you notice when you watched it on the replay that you didn't see on first inspection?
Well, so Seth and I did have a disagreement about a couple of Bryce Underwood throws that looked a little chancy, like the kind of throws that J.J. McCarthy would make, and you'd be like, oh, he's just being J.J. McCarthy, so he knows what he's doing. And like on review, I think that Seth was actually right about those, where it's like, yeah, Underwood has a window and he fits it in the window, and even though it kind of looks like there's a defensive end dropping right into that area, it's like, no, that is actually a safe and good pass. So I felt better about that in particular. The lines, I liked David Poly a lot. Like, he sheds blocks. He's tough to move. He's a guy who I think is going to have some role this year, and then next year he's going to be a big piece of a revamped defensive tackle room.
Yeah, I actually came away even more impressed with Jalen Hoffman somehow. I guess it's like it was not only. I mean, we saw the passes, we saw the receiving. We didn't see the blocking as much, and when you go back and watch, you can see that he's moving people out when he's identifying where to go. There were a couple of times where I think Micah Kabhana could have had a better run if he'd followed his blocking. And he was also honestly our best left tackle. So there were a couple of plays where like they put him outside and have him, take Devin Baxter or Lugard Adpai, and he's just mirroring the guy. And after watching kind of Link stumbling around out there and some of the other guys, I mean, there are some, they got into dudes playing tackle that are never going to play tackle at Michigan, and they know it as well as anybody. So I didn't want to be too harsh on the grading there. The other guy I saw a lot of kind of both sides was Avery Gach. He got pushed around a little bit. He also made some really mauling plays. He had a really nasty pancake at one time. Really smart, seems to really identify where he's going, which is not something you see very often from a true freshman guard. So I'm a little excited about him in the future. Definitely think that he should get a red shirt. And then the other guy who was really popping that I think it was hard to notice before was Jordan Young. He just kind of always around the ball, really fast, got to some things that you didn't think he should be able to get to. And I think that, we remembered him getting kind of shoved around. We didn't remember him sticking his nose in there and stopping that 4th and 1 and some other plays that he made. Another one late, he actually broke up that it's silly. What was it, a flea flicker that they tried on the Maize team? But he gets over on that, and he's playing center field on that play, and he just gets over there so fast that he's got time to even try to intercept it if it's at all catchable. So I thought that he's going to be a really good player. My comp for him was Rod Moore, and I think I'm going to double down on that one. I think he's going to he's a real find this year, and I can see why Michigan was going so hard to flip him from Clemson.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to take me some time. I started going through the tape, but it's hard when you're doing offense and defense every play, and spring games are hard to discern because in any really good way, because A, you're playing against yourself, and B, you've got teams split up into pieces, and so sometimes, at least for me, I usually come away in the spring thinking the offense stunk and what are they going to do? And then that's usually an overreaction to the reality that offense takes more synergy perhaps than defense. I thought Underwood on the live was okay. On the replay, I thought he was better. He hit a couple of windows that I thought, wow, you really have to have a strong arm to get that ball into the window he got it into. He did miss some passes, but on the whole, I was pleased. Jalen Hoffman, the more I looked at him on the tape, the more I thought this guy's real. He's a couple of the catches he made were really good. He caught the ball with his hands, not his body. They weren't easy catches. And so I think he's going to be a part of the offense this coming year. Most of all, I was looking at offensive line, and I said last week dismayed live, but when I looked at it, I thought Sprague at right tackle looked okay. I mean, I don't know what you thought, Seth or Brian, but I thought Sprague looked okay.
So live, I noticed that he and Phoebe. I did it again.
He was also okay.
Yeah, he was. I thought they were really moving guys out.
Mm-hmm.
So when I review, one of the things you're looking for, especially with a spring game, is who you doing it to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that was Bobby Conca, who's a true freshman. So I have to downgrade my excitement over how much those guys were moving people. But then they did it to Rayshon Benny, who I think that the last time I saw him moved out like that was Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Like, it did not happen at all last year. And, there were a couple of times when those guys were, or both of those guys were getting involved in doubles, and the other person in the double just didn't have to do anything, right? Like, I think there was a time that Caden Strayhorn was like, I'm just going to go move on to something else because you seem to have this, especially late when they were running a lot of duos. So I think Phoebe, he made a couple mistakes. He got bowled backwards a couple times into the pocket. So I can see why they're not just ready to give him the job. There are some glaring errors in there. But, compared to what Michigan was getting out of their offensive line last year, it's really not any different. Like, he was playing as well as Preeb. I think that I would put him on that level. And that's, I think Al-Hadi looked great for a moment he was in there. But, to have that kind of depth, and I know that they're not going to assign the job to him right now, but I'm really excited where he's going. And Sprague is all things pointed up. It was just more good play from him.
So what about left tackle? What did you guys think about that? I mean, yeah, that's where I was. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was clear coming out of there that there's an issue there. I guess of the issues there, who looked the best of the guys, knowing that no one looked good? Who looked the best of the guys that
Jalen Hoffman.
I mean, like it's like when you, Sam, when you posted after the game, one of the things that you thought is that Michigan should go in the portal for a tackle, and I think that kind of said it all, because the spring portal is not a place where you're going to find a tackle, right? That's not a hopeful statement. So, like for me, it's about getting these guys more experience and seeing if someone can turn the corner and fall. And you have Babalola, you'll have Ty Haywood. Neither of those guys necessarily want to play as a true freshman, because you don't want to play anyone as a true freshman. Maybe Frazier gets healthy, maybe Link takes a step forward, but that's a wide open spot going into fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my grading was concerned, Evan Link was far and away the best left tackle, and that's not saying much. It was, it was Evan Link. And I thought for a while he was doing okay, and then he got beat a couple times. I mean, maybe Julius Holly is great. Like they're like I said, you have to kind of gauge where you're at. But man, like those are not good performances. Babalola, you could see the athleticism, you could see that he's going to move people, but this is not, where he's not playable this season. That guy needs a red shirt, and that was part of his profile. We shouldn't be surprised by that. I am really surprised that Gentry and Percy left, given this was the competition, because if those guys could all play, then you shouldn't have a problem.
But they probably
keeping these guys out.
Link last year. That's probably
the way
me.
that they handled like Gentry was particularly odd, because he did get in the game, right? And he immediately appeared to be a better option at tackle than Link, who displaced him at right tackle like on the eve of the season. Like it just, like the way that whole thing went down just still doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm sure there's reasons behind the scenes that I'm not privy to, but like to me, I thought that of all those tackles I saw last year, Gentry was the guy with who looked the most ready, and he wasn't out there for most of the season. It's unclear to me why that's the case. Yeah, he got hurt as soon as they decided that they should give him a shot, and so I mean, it's a very odd spot to be in, I guess.
Yeah, the guy that had been talked up a little bit during spring, and who I pretty much immediately, as soon as I saw him out there, said, that's not going to happen, is Brady Norton. I mean, he's young, so they could redshirt him and maybe get something out of him, but he's not a tackle. It's Derek Moore, and Derek Moore is going to do this to people, but there was a way he discarded him really early on that was just like, okay, that's just, he just gets shoved out of the way. And then there was another one it was a sack that Terraboy actually also gave up the sack on the right side, so the announcers are talking about him. And I'm watching on the left side, and Brady Norton is just absolutely shoved off his spot. I don't remember which defensive end it was at the time, but it wasn't someone. Maybe it was like Adopai something. It was not somebody that you thought should be able to move him that way, right? Like I understand people are going to get moved by Derek Moore that way once in a while, and you'll be like, okay, that's Derek Moore. But it wasn't. It was Baxter Adopai or something like that, and I was like, oh, that's just not happening. So I think that Evan Link has to be the tackle unless they get someone to get in the portal. I think you're going to have to live with what you got there. And it's not great.
It's just the wild card still to me, and I know it's an unknown, but I think Blake Frazier is a wild card there. I really do.
I'd love that. I think the story on him, and you probably know more insider stuff than I do, but the story on him coming in was I thought it was going to take 2 years for him. He was very light, and he had some technique issues that he had to clean up. I like his agility. I like that he has that athleticism. I liked his dad when he was here. It was one of the first offensive linemen that I remember actually following and caring what's going on. But his story was needs to put on weight and then needs to learn how to play with its new weight. And I think that was always going to be a 2-year deal. So, I mean, yes, it's another bullet in the chamber, but my guess is it's less likely that happens than Evan Link can become just at least a Big Ten capable tackle for this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is the realistic possibilities in the transfer portal. Excuse me. I saw something about a guy. I know nothing about this guy except his name. A guy named T.J. Ferguson, who was at Alabama and then's at Florida State, and he's now in the portal now. I wonder if you know anything about that one, Sam. Nothing.
No, I have not heard of anything tangible as of yet. I know there's been heard of some movement with a corner. There's a guy from North Texas that I know that there was some action with. I know that they're looking. I know they're looking at tackle, but you don't. The key is you aren't just bringing in somebody. Right. You want to bring in somebody that you know is at least as good as what you have, right? And so there is that, and then your pool is obviously more shallow because you can't get guys that are upperclassmen. So there is that hurdle to clear as well. So it's not like it's easy. You can't just go grab someone. So to date, I haven't heard of anyone. It's easier said than done, but yeah, you gotta be looking because they clearly have an issue there.
Yeah. So, what about wide receiver? I know I was less concerned about that one than you guys. I mean, there's a guy, I think he was at Wisconsin last year, Hamper, had 48 catches at Wisconsin. There's been some rumor that Michigan is looking at him. I mean, I'm not as concerned about wide receiver, especially after seeing
this would be surprised
play.
I'd be totally surprised if Michigan did anything at receiver in the portal.
You'd be surprised?
It would be. Yeah, it would be. So what I can glean from talking to people is that their thought process as far as portal and receiver is concerned is they've gotten what they can get from the portal as far as caliber of receiver is concerned. Like they've hit the ceiling, and until they show something on the field, they aren't going to be able to bust past that ceiling.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, they got Donovan McCulley, and he had his one good catch, which is exactly what you wanted to see from him, and yeeted out, and that was okay. Got it. That's good. I understand what that guy is. I guess Bell is hurt. We didn't see him play at all in the spring game. I don't know if he's this year would have been like the year that he would have been plausible. I have a lot of bullets, but man, there were a lot of opportunities that receivers didn't make. A couple times the quarterbacks missed their guys. They could have had a good win touchdown in this game, but but you can't expect Jamar Browder to be something as a true freshman, right? Like he's got some technique issues. You can see it. You can see that guy can play. It looks like they have a find there. Goodwin seems like a good third or fourth receiver, right? Like that's a guy but if you're talking about him as your second receiver, Fred Moore, he didn't really play that much. He had one drop in this game. We've seen plenty of him. I think your best chance of having a good second receiver is Fred Moore takes that next step. And you got him and McCulley, and then you got to use your tight ends. Marlon Klein can move.
So I think McCulley is clearly your number one guy. He's a guy that's going to be able to get your 50-50 balls. So the guy that Bryce is going to be able to throw it to, and hey, I need you to be a make it right guy. The closest thing that he's going to have to that is going to be McCulley. At this point, who do you have other than that can maybe make some plays, maybe be a deep threat? You're hoping that Fred Moore can take a step, but I think Andrew Marsh is going to be a guy that can step up and over the course of the season develop into a freshman that is a reliable dude that can be a factor for them. Receiver, if there's a place where freshmen can impact, receiver is one of them. I think he's talented enough. And he came in as obviously in spring ball. I think he's going to be able to impact them. Of the returning guys, who I'm most intrigued by, maybe even more so than Fred Moore, is Kendrick. You mentioned him missing the spring with the getting a little cleanup there. I just think his upside is very intriguing to me, between his size and athleticism sort of profile. He showed some flashes last spring, just wasn't able to be on the football field this spring. But I think that he's a guy that, I'm not saying that he's gonna definitely move past Fred, but I'm not ruling out that being a battle.
I mean, I don't care. I don't care what the players care. I'm sure what number everyone is, but there's you need 4 or 5 guys who are going to be in that rotation, and I don't really care which one. I don't care if you throw a tight end in that list, right?
And don't forget somebody. And then you got Samaj, and I don't want to rule out Samaj either.
I mean, Samaj, he had one pass deep in this one where I thought he kind of could have adjusted to the ball, and it was maybe a little underthrown on him. And if he's going to do it, he has been open on a lot of plays. Like, he's not someone we just need to look at this spring game for, right? He's a guy who's been able to get open in the past and just not gotten the ball. So there could have been plays. You would have remembered a long touchdown pass to him in the Rose Bowl, but McCarthy didn't see it at the time, rolled out, and then he hit I think it was Khalil Mullings on that play, and everyone remembers that play for Mullings making the catch. But it was, there have been opportunities if the quarterbacks can hit that throw, and that's part of the story, right? Like you're saying, the receivers need to see it. Well, we need to see a quarterback who can get them the ball.
Right.
You're playing last year with Warren and Orgy, and they're not hitting the things that the receivers can do. So I don't know what a lot of these guys can do because I've only seen them on the field with Alex Orgy.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so I guess the key is they gotta maximize these guys, the receivers they have, if they're gonna get back into getting the 5-star guys, getting back into getting the 5-star receivers, because that's what everyone is clamoring for, right? Can you get back to getting the DPJs and the who are the 5-star wideouts that we saw them get in the past? The Dave Terrells and the Marquise Walkers and, those.
I would take a Cornelius Johnson and a Roman Wilson right now, man. Like that. But again, I don't know if these guys aren't those guys. It's hard to say who they are given what we've seen from them.
I think that Andrew Marsh can be that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Andrew Marsh can be that.
Yeah, I think my comp for him was Roman. So that's
the. I wonder what you guys, going back to perhaps what most people are interested in, back to the quarterback spot, and how do you see this playing out? I mean, at this point, I think you have to believe that Jordan Davis is probably unlikely as a starter, Jaden Davis, and probably the same for our starter from And so,
Davis Warren's injured. Davis Warren is not going to be able to.
Right.
Yeah, he got hurt so late in the year that I don't think he's going to even be back until October, November.
Okay, so we're looking at pretty much an Underwood-Keene deal, and given at least the sort of shakiness, let's call it that, in the offensive line, aren't Bryce Underwood's legs going to be key to the season? As much as anything, isn't his ability to move around and perhaps freelance going to be important on this team?
Well, yeah, but the thing is that this is not a team that this is not a program that has generally wanted to lean into that.
Right.
So it's always been kind of a sideshow, and that makes sense when you have JJ McCarthy and he's dinged up. But they were willing to run McCarthy much more when he was kind of like the second quarterback as a true freshman. So it's not like it's something that they're entirely opposed to, and it just kind of feels like it's hard for me to see the offense improving meaningfully if it's like just Bryce Underwood dropping back when it comes time to pass with that left tackle, right? So I think
that's my.
I mean, you gotta look at the situation, and you gotta be in some short yardage on third down. You gotta find ways to give Underwood the opportunity to hit some short passes. And to me, his legs are a fundamental component of that deal just because he's big and strong and can move. Like the ability to, minimize that asset, this team doesn't have it. Like, 2023, yeah, they didn't have to run JJ very much. And they had big like goals that season that they didn't want to get ruined by a JJ injury.
Right.
And for this season, like I just think you want to ease Bryce Underwood in, and to ease Bryce Underwood in, didn't he rush for like 1,000 yards last year? Like this is a situation where it feels like the best thing for Underwood is to, take some carries and set yourself up on 3rd and 2.
Yeah, it's about that third read, right? His first read's going to be, he's going to make his receiver reads, right? And then that third read can either be giving it to a receiver who's on a contested catch, and they don't really have that guy unless it's McCulley, or take off and see what you can get on your legs. And I think that's probably going to be a good. They also, one thing we saw in the spring game, and obviously you're not going to say, the spring game offense is going to be their offense, right? But we did see them run a lot of RPOs, and it's that weird triple option thing where like it's, there's a screen option and there's a read option, but really neither one of those are options. You're just trying to run your play, and those are just keep them honest kind of looks, right?
If there's one thing that I think is a definite sort of change with Chip Lindsey, is that Michigan is going to run more RPOs.
Mm-hmm.
There's just I could not quite figure out why they didn't do more of that last year, especially. But given the issues that they had, you would have thought that they would have kind of get it before when they were so beastly running the football and they wanted to be able to control how they wanted to run the football, but they're fine. But last year, I felt like they should have had more RPO. And with Chip, they're going to RPO. So what we saw in got a glimpse of, I think that is going to translate this season. I mean, it's been everywhere he's been. Certainly, you saw it at North Carolina. Talking to people who know him, talking to Borges, he isn't definitely going to inject that into the equation. So get used to it, Michigan fans. For those of us who have been clamoring for more RPO, we're going to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not expecting everyone runs RPO these days and everyone knows how to defend it. But what you're going to end up doing, if you run more of that, you're going to get a lot more man defense. And then you need to have a receiver who can win in man-to-man coverage. That's why you saw in the spring game, you saw a lot of shots down the sideline, because that's really the outlet that you need. You need to tell them, okay, if you want to play like this, then we're going to hit you in man coverage. And if that's what it comes back to the receiver conversation, right? That's what football always is. It's you can do this. Okay, we're going to do this. Okay, then we're going to do this. Okay, then I'm going to do this. And eventually you get to something either you can do or they can do. And that's why talent matters so much in football, right? So it comes back to the receiver conversation one way or another. They're just going to play against more man coverage if they run RPOs.
Yeah.
All right. So how about we do this? This is a great time to take a break. We'll do that now. Come back on the other side here on the Michigan Insider with more MGoBlog Roundtable on the Big 1050 WTK, online at thebig1050.com.
Clear on the radio.
Seth, did you listen to or look at any of Jake? Is that his name? Jake Guarnera?
Guarnera? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he actually was pretty decent. Made some big mistakes, but also got pushed around a little bit. But similar to Gak, he was like getting pushed around a little, and sometimes he made a really good play. Caden Strayhorn also, you can see the talent there, but oh my God, is he a freshman? He's in the middle of a pull, and he doesn't see what to do, and he just stops, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? Get out of the way! So that, and Guarnera's little past that, I didn't see anything that really is going to stand out and make him the number one center. Okay. I don't think there's any conversation about him being the number one center this year. I think that there would be a nuclear explosion from the current number one center if he gets passed again after like the way his career has gone. So that's I'm not really expecting him to do it this year. Now next year, I think Guanera is probably going to be your starting center.
The you got is it Gak or Gash?
Yeah,
What's-
he doesn't
how-
care.
He doesn't care.
I've asked him. I asked, my mother-in-law asked me the other day because yeah, I've asked him. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
Gak
Yeah.
I think
He,
it was originally Gak,
you know,
so-
I thought he looks like he has very good feet, but he got pushed around some. He just needs a year to get big.
Yeah, and it was
get
Chibi
bigger and
Awuna
strong.
who was giving him the business, which
Okay.
is like, okay, maybe we got another defensive tackle, but
Mhm.
probably means that, and Chibi is a guy that you kind of, I've been watching that guy since they got him because I heard about him playing in high school. I heard that, the reasons why he was not recruited very highly, he ended up being a walk-on at Michigan, were good reasons. He wasn't being able to play, wasn't playing. No
Like
one
him
saw
30.
him. Yeah. Yeah, he was 230. But he's a
Yeah.
guy who I kind of expected to maybe blow up later in his career. So it's possible that he's another, that they have 7 great defensive tackles. More likely that he was just, that's the level where Gak is right now. He's just not there yet, which is fine. He's a true freshman. And a lot of that's not necessarily about your strength. It's about, how you set and where your feet are at that moment and how well you're anticipating being hit. So
Stand by, guys. We're about to come back here.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about a true freshman guard getting beat.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And we are coming back on radio now in 5, 4, 3.
And we are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider. And Craig asked a question. It's Gatch. Avery
Gatch.
Gatch is how I pronounce it.
Doesn't care.
Is that
Yeah.
Dave gave me a pronunciation lesson
Okay.
on it. And so he said, yes, you wanted to give me, because I was calling him. Who told me it was Gak one time? I can't remember.
All right.
Who it was, but
I'm telling Dave. I'm sorry. I'm telling the Temple right now because they are getting it wrong.
no, it is Gatch. Very good here.
Okay.
So yeah, tell whoever needs to know that comes straight from Dave himself, and he even spelled it that way phonetically, so that for emphasis that it is Gatch. So, but at any rate, before we get back to the conversation, I want to let those of you who are on the market for a new vehicle know that if you need it, that our friends at Brighton Ford are there for you with great deals that cannot be beaten. Deals like the one on the 2025 Ford Bronco Big Bend, $459 a month, $3,500 down, or $593 a month with $500 down. Or how about the 2025 Ford Escape ST line, $241 a month, $3,500 down, or $331 a month with $500 down. And last but not least, the 2025 Ford F-150 XLT, $286 a month with $3,500 down, or $418 a month with $500 down. For those and other great deals, get on board with Brighton Ford. Go to BrightonFord.com, call 1-800-NEW-FORD, or make it out to the lot at 8240 West Grand River Avenue in Brighton, Michigan. Guys, we sort of plowed the defensive ground last week, talked about the standouts, guys that we really liked. We, for instance, at corner, I know, Brian, you were talking a lot about Shamari Earls. We expect that to be a freshman that plays a lot this year. I'm curious what you guys thought of JoJo, of Josiah Edmond, returning guy, a guy who I think they expect to really play or contend for a prominent role in that corner rotation. What did you think of his play upon closer inspection?
So on the coverage end, he might be a secret reason why the passing game looks so terrible in this a lot of those throws down the sideline. He was the receiver and the cornerback in coverage. He was the cornerback in coverage on Browder in the corner. He was not necessarily like breaking it up, but he was always in phase. He's tall. He does not give you very much room to hit that. And I think that has even a psychological aspect when you're running next to him. When if you're a wide receiver and you see a guy you can body, you have a little bit more confidence. You see a guy who's the same size as you sticking with you, and you're like, all right, what am I going to do? He has as good of a shot at this as I do. He also one of the big Bryson Cusdahl runs early on. Maybe no, that wasn't Cusdahl. It was Haynes. One of those big breakouts was 100%. Originally, like live, I think we both thought it was Hillman because he was the safety in that one. No, it was the edge was very clearly Josiah Edmond, and he very clearly went way inside. Now that's one mistake, right? It was a glaring big mistake that you cannot make in this defense. It is like the rule number one in this defense is do not give up that edge. But it's it's one play. Maybe like he saw that and he learned it, and he's not going to do that again. But that was his spring game. I thought that he didn't make any highlight plays, but he was very consistently there in coverage. And when you talk, our receivers could not be very good, and maybe that's why. But it also could just mean that he can stick with anybody, and he's definitely a useful part this year.
Yeah, his maturation is going to be important in the grand scheme of things. You have the Louisiana transfer. Why is his name? Man, I'm getting older. It's early in the morning.
Anderson? I don't think he was playing.
He didn't play. He didn't play because
Yeah.
he was banged up. He got banged up, but he'll be another factor in the mix. I think he had a hamstring.
I can't believe they didn't give him number 12 because like now we have a tradition, right? Just have a new guy wearing number 12 every year.
Right. So that's some more length, some more depth, but still clearly looking for some more length and help in the portal. That tells you something.
I worry about the way the coaches talk about Jair Hill because every time I see him on the field, I'm like, okay, this guy can play. And I know, the double moves thing was last year, but I'm like, okay, he's had a while to work. He knows what to work on, and everyone's given him the thing to work on. So, like, haven't we worked on this at this point? Like, why is this still an issue? If what, or are they slow playing us? Is this the thing they did? Do you remember when they were like, "Oh yeah, this David Long kid can't play"?
He's tremendous. I think Jair is a tremendous physical talent. I think he's really progressing. I just think you guys got to keep pushing him. You got to keep pushing him.
So it's I that's my guess that maybe they need to motivate him because as soon as like he starts hearing things, so don't hear.
I mean, I think
hear it from me. You're good.
I think there's you got different challenges with different guys. He's just so naturally gifted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you got guys that have some guys who have such natural talent that it's it's different for different guys like that. They just some guys can just show up and do it. And to them, the concept of having to do. I'm not saying this is Jair. I'm just giving you an example. Why, if I can just do it, why do I have to do extra if I can just show up and do it? You know what I mean? So you might have to push a guy like that.
Oh, I get that.
Get more out of him.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I also, it starts making me concerned when I start hearing coaches still kind of not, being negative about him or having concerns about the same things we saw last year. Because it's like, okay, it seems like the conversation should have shifted by now.
Coming out of this, I mean, the spring, do you guys have any concern on defense? I mean, you got like 6 tackles, you got a bunch of edge guys, you got at least 4 linebackers who look pretty good.
Corner depth.
It
would be one. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you are talking about Zeke being a full-time corner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still a transition, right? And so in terms of guys who have done it at a high level, for a full season. We're still, it's still a bit of a journey there. Like that, Michigan doesn't have that. So I'm confident that they're going to be good there, but it's still a little bit of an unknown. So having as much depth there as you possibly can is something that you want to have. So they got some really good options, but you want another piece there if you can have it, especially given what we just talked about with Jair and having some of the inconsistency that you saw with him last season. So there's that. And then there's the question, what exactly will you have with Rod when he comes back? I think they've done a good job of fortifying the position, but Rod's a question mark. What do you have with Jaden Mangum when he comes back? That's a question mark. So you got a lot of pieces, a lot of good options, but you have some pieces and / options that haven't played football in a while. So you assume they're going to work out, but they haven't been on the field in such a long time that exactly what you're going to get from them is a little bit of a question.
Yeah, they've fortified, like you said, they backed themselves up, right? So TJ Metcalf, he's a guy you can go out, you can put that guy out there and he can play. But your best defense is going to be able to use a lot of different players, and be able to use Mason Curtis in interesting ways instead of just having him play straight up safety. So I think that's going to be the big question with Rob Moore back. Will that allow them to use Mason Curtis as this like big nickel position, which I know is part of the Ravens program, and they never really had a guy except for like in 2021 they were using Michael Barrett there. But that they haven't really had the opportunity to use that. And Wink last year tried to do it with Quentin Johnson and it just didn't work because he's so small. But they are going to experience with that and they're going to try that again. And I'm interested to see what they got in Tevis Metcalf because I saw him moving around first. I didn't realize I thought that was TJ I was looking at. And then I'm like, oh no, 24 is the younger brother. He can move really well. He seems to have a really good idea where he's at. Seems to be kind of a nickel, and I expect that's where they're going to play him. But he's got a little bit of that Sayre still in him, where like he just has an idea of where it's going and gets there faster than you think he's going to. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens with him, and if he factors in even this year. Where originally I was just like, okay, redshirt that guy and see what you got in the future. I'm a little bit more. I think this spring game showed that he can give you something this year.
Yeah, honestly though, I feel like defense is going to be really, really good. I mean, you're picking at things that I think they're going to have answers for on the roster. I mean, they have so many different possibilities at safety, different possibilities at corner, even if they're trying to add another defensive tackle. I do wonder if they're going to get some interior rush or if they're going to have to manufacture it, which they can do. But man, they got so many defensive tackles there. I mean, they're huge at defensive tackle too. Like they're going to be good on defense. My questions are on offense, man. I mean, it's just like, I mean, are they going to have a reliable sort of contingent of production at receiver? Are they gonna get protection from the left side of their line? Are they gonna get consistency from the left side of that offensive line? I mean,
and you talk about Underwood staying healthy. To be honest, I think he's at more danger getting hit from the blind side vis-a-vis an injury than he is running down the field where he can see people. And so, yeah, I'm with you, Sam. I mean, tell me that even if the run blocking isn't great on the left side, on the left tackle spot, even if it's just okay, tell me that he can protect our quarterback. And I'm saying, all right, this could be a really good team this year. But right now, that's sort of an unknown.
Not the first team who ever had left tackle problems.
No.
So, you can give them some tight end help. You can run the ball better. Yeah. You can pull guys over there and run play action. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that you do to mitigate that to the point where you can go and play a football game. It's just okay, you're not going to go and be, a SP #1 offense this year, and I don't think we're expecting to be that anyway.
No, we're not. We're hoping to be pretty good or okay, which with this defense should be enough.
Yeah, and to your point, Seth, listen, if you can be good everywhere else, you can help a guy. You can help tackle. So now the question becomes, can you be good everywhere else? Like, encouraged by what we saw from Sprague, right? Can we see Giovanni Ohadi really take a step and be what we thought he was going to be last year? Where, I thought Gio was going to take a step up and really be like Big Ten honorable mention kind of guy at least, and that wasn't the kind of season he tell you. That wasn't the kind of season he had. I think he was like, I think he said that was unacceptable, was what he said. Is he ready to take that step this year to be that caliber of lineman this year? And then Greg Crippen, a year off of, his first year as a starter. Is he ready to take a step up? I was really encouraged by Nate Afobe. Okay, so let's say they find another left tackle. Let's say it's Blake Frazier, or if they do something totally unexpected and land a tackle. Is it really a foregone conclusion that Evan Link is your guard? I'm not sure. I mean, I like what we saw from Nate Afobe. To me, that would be a battle. I wouldn't say that. I know Link has some starts under his belt, but I say you got to duke that out, because I like the physicality that we saw from Nate Afobe.
Yeah, Afobe's got that ceiling. Keep in mind, Hatar's coming in too, so they're going to have somebody else to compete at right guard as well.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I can see why that's a battle. I think Afobe has definitely put himself in that battle. I see him as a low floor, high ceiling guy for this season. So, hey, if it's working, let's do it. Like I said, when I went back and watched the tape, it just one time it was against Benny. Hey, woo, that's something, right? Second time and third time and fourth time it's against Bobby Conka, and it's like, okay, true freshman defensive tackle. Let's pump the brakes.
Yeah.
It shall be interesting, to say the least, to see how it all plays out. We got a whole summer to break it down. Now, so I want to get you guys' handicap, because my man Tim McCormick tried to pee in my Cheerios. So I want to see how you guys are feeling about it. So we had Yaxel Lindeborg here for his official visit last week, right? And Tim was like, Sam, don't get your hopes up. He's like, Sam, that talking to NBA scouts, they're really intrigued, Sam. It's like, I'm just not feeling very optimistic, Sam, at all, that he's gonna. I know he took the visit, but I think he's gonna be in the NBA. I said, Tim, I mean, he's taking pictures with Dusty. He's doing these things, taking this visit. Like, Sam, don't get your hopes up. How you guys feeling about the Yaxel possibility? You feeling any better about the odds of Yaxel showing up in Ann Arbor next season? Right?
Well, do any of us talk to NBA scouts? Maybe Brian does, but I don't. And Tim does. So,
I mean, we said what 80%. He's going to the NBA. It'd be
well,
nice.
I mean, that's what he said, right? He told the local internet newspaper he's 80-20 going to the NBA, and if he got a guaranteed contract, which isn't just a first round pick, like you're looking at guys in the first 10 to 15 picks, the second round will get guaranteed no G League contract. So if he gets a team that's like, yeah, we'll pick you and we'll sign you and you'll be in an NBA roster next year, it seems like that's clearly the path he's going to take. And from what I've seen, pretty much every mock draft has him in that range. No mock draft has him at 51st or 55th.
Nah.
Like worst case scenario, you're looking at like 35, 36, 38. And those are usually guaranteed contract spots right now. So unless Michigan is able to change his opinion he did take a visit, and maybe he hit it off with Dusty, and maybe he went to Frida Petitos, and he's like, I don't need to go to the NBA for a year. I mean, that could have happened, but I think that's what's
I
going to
think
take.
I saw him there.
Like there's going to be an NBA team that's like, we will sign you next year, and he's either going to have to change his mind from that previous article, or he's going to be in the league.
Yeah, I don't. If Tim says that don't get your hopes up, I think what he's telling you is don't get your hopes up. That he's probably going to be in the NBA, and as far as I can tell, Michigan's really active with other big guys. European guys, at least two of them, a German guy and I think a Slovenian guy.
Well, that doesn't necessarily reflect at all on Yaxel, because the German guy in particular is not a guy you're going to play next year. You're going to put him on the bench, and you're going to work with him, and you're going to see if you have something next year.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of people who could play in the pros right now, but might, Gavin McKenna is like this. Like, what's happening? Is this act like? Feels like
Gavin actually can't play in the pros next year because he's a 2026 eligible.
Right.
But we don't really have a whole lot of time to talk about it. But the hockey team is in the midst of an interesting offseason where they could do the coaching for once. And we haven't seen a whole lot of movement yet. But McKenna's not going to make any announcements until the season's over, and it's not. So,
well, maybe we can talk about that next week, hockey. Because there's a lot to talk about there, and it looks like Michigan will be bringing 14. Is that what you thought, Brian? 14 new guys in? Something in that range.
Well, they'll have 3 new goalies. They'll have, they're returning, like, right now, 5 defensemen. They have a couple transfers in. So really the forward core is the only thing that we're really kind of waiting on at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we will dive into that next MGoBlog Roundtable. So look forward to that, folks. We got to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Michigan Insider on the Big 1050 WTK.